It's a big day at the University of Virginia as the lacrosse team playing in the football stadium before the spring game for the first time since 1995. Steele Stanwyck trying to get his Virginia team to bounce back off a tough loss last week. For Maryland, Grant Catalino, an offensive star, and his team looking for their first ACC win. A big ACC showdown as Virginia and Maryland will go at it here on ESPNU. Welcome to Old Spice College Lacrosse on ESPNU. We are at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia, as the number 10 team in the country, the Maryland Terrapins, take on number 4 Virginia. Hi everyone, and welcome to Charlottesville. I'm Rob Simmelker along with Paul Carcaterra for what promises to be an interesting game. Two teams coming in both off of losses for the first time in this rivalry since 1993. Paul, they're both going to be hungry.
And neither team playing efficient lacrosse, but make no mistake about it, 3 out of the last 4 contests decided by 1 goal. Both teams national title contenders.
For Virginia, they're going to be without one of their top offensive players today. Shamel Bratton, the star midfielder, is senior. He has been suspended by the team for disciplinary reasons and will not play today. Paul, what sort of impact do you think that will have on today's game?
Without Shamel Bratton, it changes the dynamic of this offense. He's the most explosive dodger in the game with a change of direction that's unguardable at times. Maryland will play the perimeter much differently today, but the Cavaliers have plenty of stars still left on offense, Chris Bocklet being one of them. The best inside-outside shooter in college lacrosse. Tremendous off-ball awareness and the ability to change levels with his shot. He can light up a scoreboard. He leads the Cavs in goals for a second straight season. The junior can cash in a hurry. For Maryland, successful transition lacrosse starts with its defensive midfielders who can handle the ball and create offense. The Terps possess the top offensive-minded long ball in the game in Brian Farrell, approaching double-digit points with half a season still to play. His offensive awareness is off the charts.
And Paul, we take a look at our impact players brought to you by Warrior. You mentioned Brian Farrell, one of the top long stick middies in the country, and then Ramel Bratton will have to step up today without his brother in the game.
Farrell's a game changer, and he'll be tested early and often by UVA's two-way midfielders led by Ramel Bratton, who's one of the top dual threat middies in the nation. He excels in the open field and the man down unit. This is strength on strength today.
And we take a look at our coaches today. There is John Tillman in his first year as head coach at Maryland, his 3rd year as the head coach overall. He's a Cornell graduate from 1991. And of course, if you're a lacrosse fan, you know this man, Dom Starja, one of the top coaches in the history of this game. He is working his way up the chart in terms of being one of the all-time winningest coaches in the history of Division I college lacrosse. He's in his 19th season here at UVA. We get set for the opening face-off. Maryland on the road wearing the red jerseys. UVA at home in white. And we'll face this thing off to get going on this ACC battle. And a quick face-off win for Maryland. They have been very solid at the face-off X all year long, and they get the first face-off of the game and will take control here on the road. We saw Brian Farrell scoop up that loose ball from the wing, and so Maryland going to work offensively. 0-2 in the ACC so far this year, looking for their first league win.
And they've excelled at the face-off this year. Curtis Holmes doing a fabulous job, over 60%, but the wing play has been dominant as well.
That would seem to be a real advantage for Maryland coming into this game. And so the Terps looking to get off to a good start. They got off to a good start last week at home against North Carolina. Maryland went up 4-0 before surrendering 8 straight goals. First shot of the game, and a save by the outstanding Virginia goalie, Adam Gittleman.
And last weekend, down in College Park, I called that game. When you saw Maryland come out with the urgency after that first quarter, you had to think things were rolling for them and their best lacrosse was ahead of them. Very difficult second quarter with that stick penalty by Ryan Young, and the wheels fell off the bus.
And Paul, as Virginia takes its first offensive possession, let's take a look at their keys for this game.
They need production out of this third attack spot. Nick O'Reilly gets the start today. You know what you're getting out of Stanwyck and Bocklet, but the emergence of this third attackman will be significant in this game and moving forward. And they need to exploit the short stick matchups with star-studded midfield for UVA. They can break it down off the dodge. Critical that they take advantage of those short poles for Maryland.
So without Shamel Bratton in the game, we'll see a little bit of a different look at midfield for Virginia. Also seeing some new faces on the attack as well. Nick O'Reilly, number 29, a sophomore, getting the start at attack. There he is with the ball for Virginia. Ramel Bratton, number 3, playing on this top midfield line. Now a dodge move, and the first shot of the game for Virginia bounced wide. Colin Briggs taking that shot. It was backed up by Virginia.
And he's one of those water bug type midfielders for UVA. Has the ability, quick separation. It's been a breakout year for Briggs.
John Haldy, number 12, also playing on this top midfield line for Virginia. Haldy sends it down low. Briggs again, firing one wide. Nico Amato, the Maryland goaltender, got a stick on it, but the rebound is controlled by Virginia.
Now, last year, the Cavaliers beat Syracuse without Shamel Bratton. It was Ramel who really lit it up that game. 4 goals when his brother wasn't on that line, so he'll be called on early and often.
You wonder whether, knowing his brother's not out there, he's going to try to step it up offensively a little bit today. He's known as more of a two-way player than his brother, but he can score when he wants to.
I think probably top 2 or 3 two-way midfielder in all of college lacrosse.
And a shot to score from behind the net. Number 6, Steele Stanwyck, puts UVA on top.
Leads the ACC in points. Steele Stanwyck, complete quarterback, so smooth behind the cage, ability to get teammates involved, can create his own offense as well. I love his low angle shooting ability. Stanwyck with the awareness around goal line extended.
So Steele Stanwyck, one of the 4 captains of this Virginia team, a junior from Baltimore, opens the scoring here in Charlottesville.
When you watch number 6 in white play, so smooth, calm, never seems rattled, regardless of how much pressure the opposition puts on him.
And we get a whistle on the face-off, and that call is going to go against Virginia. So Maryland will take over, down by 1. One of the things you have to wonder, Paul, after giving up those 8 straight goals and a demoralizing loss at home last week, how important is it for Maryland to get off to a good start here on the road?
Well, I think it's huge. I mean, that team is certainly deflated. After beating a North Carolina team who's very young, the Terps were highly favored in that contest.
And Paul, let's take a look at the Maryland keys to this game. And talk about getting off to a good start. Also, getting that blue-collar mentality back that Maryland lacrosse has been so known for over the years.
Yeah, the Terps need to get back to playing smash-mouth lacrosse and that wing play domination. I mentioned it earlier. Curtis Holmes excelling at the face-off X. Superb wing play by the Terps with guys like Jesse Bernhard and Brian Farrell. Possessions are huge against a UVA offense that can put up monster numbers.
Grant Catalino, we talked about him before the game, one of the top shooters in the game, and he fires his first shot of the game on goal. Adam Gittleman got a piece of it, and now Virginia on the quick clear, but a loss of footing on the far sideline there, puts the ball on the ground, and Maryland's going to come right back. Failed clear there by Virginia, and Maryland will get a second attempt here on this offensive side.
And last week, UNC really threw Maryland a curveball with that zone defense, and not having Travis Reed in the lineup, who's a senior, a great left-handed shooter. We might see him today in the extra man, and if Virginia runs a zone, he can really snipe the ball.
Maryland working it around midfield here. Joe Cummings, number 19 on the field, along with Jake Bernard, who has the ball. Back to Cummings. Cummings, a junior, been one of the outstanding midfielders at Maryland for a couple of years. Had some health issues, but he's healthy now and playing at full steam.
Cummings is a kid who has tremendous offensive awareness, a good shooter.
And we got another shot. That one not much on it. Bounced on goal. Gittleman easily able to scoop it up.
When you watch a kid like Cummings play, it reminds me and a lot of other coaches of a great Virginia midfielder a few years ago, Matt Posque, the 2006 graduate and national title holder. The ability to find seams in a defense, that mid-range shooting, Cummings possesses all those qualities.
Virginia clears it into the offensive end. It was Rob Emery for Virginia getting it through midfield in the face of a pretty aggressive Maryland ride, and now the Cavaliers will go back to work on offense.
Interesting matchup right here for Maryland, 34 in red. Ryder Bolander guarding high school teammate Chris Bocklett, 10 in white.
Nice crowd on hand here at Scott Stadium. And it will just get bigger as the day goes on. The spring football game for the Virginia Cavaliers will take place about a half hour after this lacrosse game ends. Coach Dom Starja told us his guys were excited to play on the football field, and they should be excited as they get off to a good offensive start, but that shot goes wide. And it'll be Maryland coming right back through in midfield as Dan Burns clears for the Terrapins. Unsettled opportunity, a shot high, and Gittleman makes the save.
That's Catalino's spot. Normally cashes in on that right side.
And a push call goes against Maryland. Quick off the restart, right on goal. And Nico Amato comes up with it in the crease. So off that push call, Virginia tried to make something happen very quickly, but Nico Amato able to knock the ball down. Here's Amato, a big part of the Maryland clearing game. He likes to come out and pass the ball.
Good stop by Amato. After Gittleman stoned Catalino, a little transition across end to end. Nico Amato is really putting up a superb freshman season.
Amato grabbed the job in fall ball and has not let go of it as a freshman. Coming in with the ball now is Drew Snyder. He came in off the bench. Snyder and John Hawes on this midfield line for Maryland. And now we see Catalino coming out to midfield.
Drew Snyder, familiar with this Virginia campus. His father, Chris Snyder, one of the top attackmen in UVA history, a great feeder and a passer in the 70s.
A little bit of a different look here for Maryland as Catalino playing the point guard position out top. Now it comes underneath for Owen Bly, a sophomore who's had himself a very solid year in his sophomore campaign.
And it looks like Virginia's in a zone defense right now, maybe just switched back to man. But they'll mix it up a little bit, I think, throw the Terps off guard.
Here's Ryan Young, number 27. Outstanding senior attacker for these Terrapins, always a key to this Maryland offense. Young is going to feed and score. Oh, nice work by Ryan Young as he feeds it off to John Hawes, and this game's tied at 1.
Textbook feed from the senior. If you're a youngster, you play the attack position. When you operate around the X area behind the cage, always dodge with your head up. That's what Young does. Spots John Hawes. right in front of that crease area, but the awareness, the feeding ability, the lax IQ of Ryan Young, you have to love the fact that the head is always up, getting teammates involved.
Time to go, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, third quarter. Virginia 1, Maryland 1.
So Maryland responds, and now they're going to get a quick win on the face-off as well, as Curtis Holmes won that clean. Got it off to Brian Farrell, and now Maryland's going to get it right back off the goal. John Tillman, Maryland's head coach, talked about the importance of his team showing some resiliency out on the field. This is a senior-laden Maryland team that came into the season ranked 3rd as the season started, but they have not been able to get it done in the ACC so far. They had a loss at Duke and then a loss at home against North Carolina, and that's dropped their ranking back to 10.
And I think a lot of people thought the Terps with Young and Catalino and Reed back and all 3 starting defenders, that they were kind of a shoo-in to be one of the top teams in the country. They lost their meat and potato guys like Dean Hart, Bryn Holmes. Those players excelled for 4 years in between the lines, did all the little dirty work, so their identity has changed.
And Coach Tillman told us, as we see Grant Catalino lose his footing here, ball hits the ground. Catalino, nice recovery, gets it off to Bernhardt, who fires a shot on goal, and Gittleman sticks it aside. And now Virginia able to pick it up, a big hit on the near side. Nice ride by Maryland as they get it right back. Cummings walking in, and a shot again finds the stick of Gittleman.
That's the time you want to go to the cage if you're Cummings. The Virginia defense a little unsettled. Would have liked to have seen him shoot that ball a little bit earlier. I think he lost his angle as he continued his north-south dodge.
5 saves already for Gittleman. An outstanding start for the senior goalie, one of the top goaltenders in the country. He's playing like it early on so far. Meanwhile, Paul, this Virginia team sort of looking for a little bit of identity as well. They don't have the big names on attack that we've been used to over the years. And speaking of Dom Starza this week, he said they're just trying to figure out what the right fit is. He used the word efficiency a lot. They're looking for offensive efficiency. What does that mean?
Well, just hitting on all cylinders and knowing when to dodge, and the shooting as well. You look at their shooters, a lot of shooters under 30% for the Cavaliers. That's not the type of lacrosse that you want. They're leading the nation in goals per game and not playing their best lacrosse. So watch out once they start clicking.
Nice cross pass, and a shot goes high on Amato. Quick rebound, and another save by Amato, and then the rebound is scooped to him. 2 quick saves by Nico Amato. He looks sharp early on as well. Quick clear for Maryland. Unsettled chance out front, and a save by Gittleman. Off of the shot. And a rebound and a score. So unsettled play, and Maryland taking advantage. They finally get one past Gittleman. It's 2-1.
Well, that's deflating for a goaltender. You're standing on your head, making save after save. You talk about efficiency right here. You make the stop. You want your offense to get the ball. Barnhart right there with a rip, and then Lovejoy. You don't want to throw to the middle of the field defensively unless your goaltender is far out of that crease area. Is a clean outlet. Big time mistake by 40 and White.
Ryan Young able to take advantage of Gittleman out of the crease, and so a defensive mistake or a clearing mistake there by Virginia. And Maryland has scored 2 straight goals.
Virginia 1.
On the face-off. Ground ball scooped up by Virginia. Nice play there by Bray Malthus.
And in our conversation with Coach Starza, he loves his combo of Bachlet and Stanwyck. He thinks those 2 kids at the attack are stars, but finding that third attackman, it's been musical chairs to date.
Steals Stanwyck. Lobs it out top. With the ball, this is Rob Emery. Working his way down the right alley. Now from behind the net, Stanwyck loses his footing, almost found a teammate. A flag flies. Penalty coming up. It's going to go. We get the whistle here, and we'll wait for the call.
Looks like Maryland's going to be hit with a trip. 1 minute in the box. The Maryland coaching staff erupted with that call.
Well, you don't often see a team called for a trip call like that in the offensive zone, but let's take another look here.
Number 44 of the Terrapins, Brett Schmidt, penalized.
Well, I can see why Maryland's bench did not like that. That looked a lot like incidental contact. Two players just running next to each other, and one of their feet got tangled up.
I would completely agree with you on there. Look at this extra man unit. Connor English, one of those third attackmen for the Cavaliers this year, getting an opportunity on the extra man. We've seen English this year, White, O'Reilly today.
30-second opportunity for Virginia. They have been very good in the man-up offense. Time, though, running down quickly on this one without a shot off. Stanwyck sending it behind the net. Now up top, and a big shot, and a save is made by Amato. Rob Emery ripped that from up top, and that's the only shot that Virginia will get out of that man-up. Quick clear by Maryland.
Emery typically puts a little more mustard on his shot. You know, from 12 to 15, you can't kind of question, are you shooting or aren't you? If you're going to shoot, you got to let it rip, especially on these top goaltenders, kids like Amato.
So back to even strength. And we're going to get a whistle. A couple players get tied up there on the near sideline. Jake Bernhardt for Maryland, and that is the end of our first quarter. So Virginia got off to a 1-0 start. Maryland bounced back with two. Stanwyck opened the scoring, and then Hunter Gilman's been strong in pipes. But for Maryland, John Hawes has Maryland up 2-1. And after one quarter of play, the Maryland Terrapins a 2-1 lead on the road here in Charlottesville. And ESPN News coverage of college lacrosse will continue tomorrow afternoon with the Conaca Minolta Big City Classic. At 4 Eastern, number 6 Johns Hopkins will take on number 5 North Carolina. Then at 6:30 Eastern, it'll be the number 1 Syracuse Orange taking on number 3 Duke. Conaca Minolta Big City Classic on ESPNU Sunday. And Maryland's got a 2-1 lead, Paul, but it could be a lot bigger lead if it were not for Adam Gilman.
Well, the senior saving his best season for last. Coach Starja mentioned on our call this week, like another coach back there, a general on the defensive end. He's a great clearer. He has been for his whole career. He's stopping the ball now at an elite level.
6 saves already in this game through one quarter for Gittleman. If you're not familiar with college lacrosse, that is a lot of saves in one quarter as we face off this second quarter. And the ground ball picked up by Virginia. Chris LaPierre scooping it up from the wing.
You look at a kid like Gittleman, and so important that he took a huge leadership role this season. He's a captain, but with the departure of All-Americans and Ken Clausen and Ryan Neislich, this defense had a completely different identity coming into the season. So his communication, the way that he led, was really called upon, and Coach Starja is pleased.
Virginia looking to even this game at 2. They had a 1-0 lead. Maryland scored 2 straight, and now we are even as Virginia strikes back. Number 34, Colin Briggs, second goal of the game.
When you decided to put Colin Briggs on this first midfield, now he's not the marquee guy on the midfield, so he's going to attract a short stick defender rather than being against the long pole week in and week out. I don't think there's a short stick defender in the country that can guard this kid.
Take another look if this might have been tipped a little bit on the way in. Can't tell, but Colin Briggs, 13th goal of the year.
It's the separation, that quick change of direction, the stutter step. So impressed with his ability to separate from the defense.
So we got a good one here early on. Two teams that look pretty evenly matched, and now off the face-off. Loose ball on the ground. Players come in from the wings again. It's Chris LaPierre scooping it up for Virginia. 2 straight face-off wins for the Cavaliers.
And you mentioned two-way midfielders. LaPierre got over 50 ground balls already this season. He'll break the century mark. That's not common for a non-face-off player, so it just tells you about his impact and his ability to scoop up loose balls, his physical play. He's all over the field. Might be their most valuable player.
Only a sophomore from Medford, New Jersey. And possession time so crucial in this game. Now Virginia has had it for the opening 2 minutes of this second quarter.
LaPierre.
And they score, so they take advantage of the 2 straight face-off wins. And that shot beat Nico Amato from just about the same spot. It's 3-2 Cavaliers.
John Haldy played a lot of attack in high school in the state of Pennsylvania, so he's real comfortable operating from that area. This is an attack dodge from one of Virginia's top offensive midfielders. When this kid has time and room, he can let it rip. A little fake roll, gets his separation. No hand pressure by the defense.
And the Cavaliers retake the lead. Virginia 3, Maryland 2.
And now a key face-off here for Maryland, and they are able to come away with it as Brian Farrell comes up with the ball and then quickly sends it down low. Ryan Young was there, but Gittleman able to make the stop. So Maryland tried to convert very quickly off that face-off. I almost wonder, Paul, given the way this quarter's gone so far, if they might have been better off easing back and getting their offense set up a little bit. Now it's right back in Virginia's stick.
Well, they did have it in Farrell's hands. Brian Farrell, 37 in red. Top flight defensive midfielder when you think about his ability to carry the ball and work in transition. That was a great feed on that backside to Ryan Young. Thought Ryan Young should have changed levels a little bit more.
So back to the Virginia side of the field we go here, and the Cavaliers a feed in front that was not collected. And now we get a battle on a ground ball. 2-on-2 behind the net, and it's scooped up by UVA. But we get a whistle, and we're going to get a timeout called by the Cavaliers. So Virginia, a strong start to this second quarter for the Cavaliers. They've scored 2 straight at home, and they'll come back with the ball right after this. Welcome back to Scott Stadium here in Charlottesville. The Virginia Cavaliers a 3-2 lead. They've scored 2 straight here in the second quarter. Let's take a look at what's going on around the world of NCAA lacrosse. And Paul, the Big City Classic tomorrow should be a great tilt. 4 of the top 6 teams in the country playing up in New York.
Well, a few weeks ago, it looked like a snoozer. Duke dropped 2 of their first 3 games. Hopkins had question marks after being beat up by Princeton early in the season. Both teams resurgent, and this is going to be an incredible day of lacrosse tomorrow.
Johns Hopkins will be there. They have a 6.13 goals allowed average. That's impressive. And Rob Pennell, a great player up at Cornell, 5.5 points a game. He leads the NCAA. And meanwhile, here in Virginia, one of the stories of this game is that man, Shamel Bratton, the outstanding senior midi. He is not playing today, held out by Coach Dom Starja, suspended for disciplinary reasons. Second time this year that Shamel Bratton has missed a game due to a disciplinary decision by Dom Starja. And so this Virginia team without one of their top offensive players.
And we don't know exactly what he did. It's being handled internally I will tell you, from a field standpoint, they need #1 to be out there. If they want to take a run at this national championship, Bratton has to be on the field and has to be a leader of this team, too.
The other Bratton, Ramel, you just saw him with the ball, #3. He is there today, but it has been other players stepping up for Virginia so far today, including Colin Briggs, who had the ball just now. We got a flag flying here. Ball loose in the crease, a big hit, and more flags fly. And we could have multiple penalties coming up against Maryland here. Max Schmidt, #9, laid a huge hit after the first flags flew. And let's see what the calls amount to here against Maryland.
Well, here's the penalty on Bocklett. It's tough to see what they'd call on that play right there. And then the second hit. Schmidt just cleans out Briggs right there. That's a monster hit. The refs put so much focus on hard hits, especially to the head area.
So one minute call going against Maryland. Another look at this shot here.
I don't know. A few years ago, that's not a penalty. I mean, he did not go helmet to helmet there.
And we've got a timeout called on the field. So Maryland's going to be down 2 when we come back. This will be a big opportunity for Virginia. And meanwhile, there is some history between these two teams, a great rivalry. We'll take you through the 7 overtime thriller they played the last time these teams hooked up in Charlottesville when we come back. Here in Charlottesville, UVA a 3-2 lead at home over Maryland in the second quarter. And this is a great lacrosse rivalry between these two teams. It goes back decades, and it was just 2 years ago when they last played here in Virginia. It was the longest game in the history of Division I college lacrosse. They went 7 overtimes until Brian Carroll scored the game winner 1 minute into the 7th overtime period. That was after a Maryland goal was called off, which you just saw, and then the game winner right there by Brian Carroll. And that sent them into delirium over at Koskinen Stadium. Faulkner Stadium, I should say. There's the game summary of that game. It is now the second longest game in NCAA history, but still the longest in D1 history. Just recently, a D2 game went a little bit longer into the 7th overtime, but we talked to Dom Starja about that game earlier this week. He still remembers it. Says the one thing he can remember is he ran out of things to say during timeouts to his team. Just nothing left to say in that 6th overtime.
Absolutely, and it was telling also. He mentioned he called a timeout in every overtime session, except for the 7th overtime. Afterwards, he spoke to assistant Mark Van Arsdale, said, maybe I should just let him play earlier.
Meanwhile, big opportunity here for Virginia. They've got a 2-man advantage for the next 40 seconds after 2 straight calls went against Maryland, but they misconnect on a pass, and that's a big miss. Matt White, #4 for Virginia, was not able to grab it. There you see the 2 players penalized, the Schmidts actually, not related, Max Schmidt and Brett Schmidt, 2 defenders, both penalized on the last offensive possession for Virginia. Meanwhile, a long clear by Maryland, lobbed all the way down the field, ends up in Gittleman's stick. Then Gittleman is knocked down, and Virginia's going to get it back with 15 seconds to go on this 2-man advantage. Not sure, Paul, why they would lob the ball downfield like that and give Virginia the ball back. You can explain it in a second. Meanwhile, Virginia getting a shot off, bouncing it wide was Chris Bocklett. And that should get us just about back to even strength.
Virginia being 6-on-4, they had the ability to really double the ball. It wasn't just a man-up opportunity with 1 player in the box. I think Maryland feared they wouldn't be able to clear the ball.
Now a shot by Rob Emery going wide, and so Maryland able to kill off that big opportunity there for Virginia. But UVA still with possession, and it's Matt White behind the net.
Yeah, these hits in college lacrosse are really coming into question. I think the referees are just a little bit apprehensive not to call it because of these head injuries that do occur. It's the level of impact, I think, that is really determining a lot of these calls.
You're right, Paul. That hit by Schmidt, Max Schmidt, was one that we've seen many times over the years go completely uncalled, as we see a shot by Bratton and a score. Ramel Bratton, moving to his left, fires the shot past Nico Amato. It's 4-2 Cavaliers.
Ramel Bratton, typically a right-handed Dodger. Jamel loves the left. They could beat you on both sides, the Brattons. Ramel just gets separation. It looked like Maryland was in a zone and Farrell passed him along. If you look at Amato's reaction, I don't think that defense was in sync right there. It didn't know if it should go, should stay, should slide to Bratton. That's the worst thing that could happen to a defense, not being on the same page.
Ramel scores his 12th goal of the season.
So with his brother out, Ramel scores his 12th goal of the year and gives the Cavaliers a 2-goal lead. And now off the face-off, there's that man again, Chris LaPierre, picking it up off the wing and bringing it into the restraining box.
An absolute beast. His ability to get ground balls and find space, too, under pressure. His physical characteristics, his speed, just allow him to be almost like an automatic clear. We're going to watch a football game here on ESPN3 after this game. He could play at that level. When you think about his high school career, All-American type player, New Jersey State Player of the Year in the sport of football.
Here's Ramel again, working his way around his defender, a low shot, and that time Amato able to make the save. A little bit better job there by Maryland's defense, keeping Ramel off balance. And now the Terrapins, a much-needed offensive possession here. They've given up 3 straight goals to Virginia. This ball, remember, after they gave up 8 straight at home against North Carolina. So can they stop the bleeding today is the question.
And they'll have to. I think from a leadership standpoint and their overall identity, Maryland needs to make stops and answer a run after the last 2 weeks of lacrosse.
This is Joe Cummings, the midfielder, along the left wing. Underneath for Ryan Young. Ryan Young, the outstanding senior attackman from Manhasset, New York. He's going to crisscross here with Travis Reed, picks up a screen and sends it out to midfield.
The first we're seeing of Travis Reed in weeks, plagued by injuries. The lefty senior.
Reed, part of that attack that's been playing together since their freshman year as starters. Travis Reed, Ryan Young, Grant Catalino. They were called the Baby Turtles as freshmen. 3 talented freshmen. As we get a call, a push call that's going to go against Virginia as the ball was loose, and Maryland will get it right back. That attack we're talking about, a lot of high expectations of them as freshmen. Now as seniors, their last chance to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Here's Owen Bly. Fired a shot that was blocked before it got on goal, and now a loose ball comes out to midfield. Scooped up nicely. Good play there. Right into the stick of Steele Stanley. Right along the Virginia bench. Ball back on the ground, though, as Maryland's defense is able to take it away, and they'll come right through in the stick of Brian Farrell, who finds Young, and a high shot is good. From the far side, Maryland breaks Virginia's streak. It's 4-3.
This is Maryland at its best. Transition lacrosse, forcing tempo, making plays with guys like Barnhart and Farrell. Nice little shake right there. That little hitch increased his angle. Owen Bly, beautiful shot right there. It was the separation in that little hitch move. He dipped low, went high to create space, increased his angle, and stuck that one.
So that is a much-needed goal for Maryland, and they are back to within 1 as we head back to the face-off X. Curtis Holmes in there for Maryland. He has not had the sort of day we're used to seeing him have at the faceoff X, but this time Maryland's able to come away with it quickly as Dan Burns picked it up off the wing, but they're unable to get it into the restraining box. It's taken away by Virginia.
Curtis Holmes has been a fabulous faceoff man. Last week against North Carolina, R.G. Keenan, who is only a freshman, but making a name for himself as the top faceoff man in all of college lacrosse. So he'll go down as one of the greats this sport has ever seen at the faceoff X, and Curtis Holmes dominated him.
Virginia content to work it around the perimeter. John Hardy has the short stick on him, trying to find some space. Sends a cross to Bratton, who scores. Oh, a good look there as John Hardy finds Ramel Bratton, who fires his second goal past Nico Amato.
Ramel Bratton stepping up, playing big time. Look at the feed, though, by John Hardy. Patience. The head is up. Look at the crossfield feed right there. Just spots Bratton. Time and room. Beautiful feed. Dissects that defense in time and room for Ramel Bratton. Beautiful mechanics, too. Steps up, plants his foot, gets the stick back, and full torque action by 3 and white.
And there you see his brother Shamel looking on as Ramel has now scored 2 goals in the last 4 minutes of this game to stake the Cavs to a 2-goal lead.
And I mentioned earlier, he has to get back on the field for this team to win a title, and also to be regarded as one of the great midfielders of all time. You have to be on the field making plays and not having these disciplinary actions against him. You look at some of the greats of all time, the J. Jal Bears, the Josh Sims at the midfield, Virginia and Princeton All-Americans, and Kyle Dixon, who won a championship down here in 2006. It was the combination of athletic ability, lacrosse, IQ, making plays, and being leaders on their teams.
Meanwhile, Paul, Maryland's going to have a man-up opportunity coming up. We get the stoppage, and a call went against Scott McWilliams, the freshman defender for Virginia. He was called for his defensive play against Catalina. What do you see here?
We're going to get him with a hold right there. Anytime that defenseman prohibits offensive movement forward by the offense, they'll nail him with 30 seconds.
So McWilliams, a freshman defender who Dom Starja, Virginia's head coach, is very high on him. He's a very highly touted freshman, but he gets a lesson there, and he goes to the box for 1 minute. Quick feed, and Maryland takes advantage. So the Terrapins get a man-up goal as the ball finds Joe Cummings right outside the crease. Cummings beats Gittleman. It's 5-4.
Joe Cummings had a career day a couple weeks ago against UMBC. 4 goals in the outing. Just one of those guys could play attack midfield. Was an attackman in high school because of these baby Terps at the time who are now seniors, young Catalino and Reed. They moved a versatile Cummings to midfield and just has that overall offensive ability to make plays regardless of position.
Nice feed by Owen Bly on the play. He'll get an assist, and now a quick face-off win by Holmes. And Maryland goes right back to work. So Terrapins head coach John Tillman has to like what he's seeing here from his team as they are bouncing back and staying right with this Virginia team on the road, and now they've got a chance to tie it.
If you're John Tillman, the punch back, the answer after this short little Virginia run tells you something about the character of this team. They're not going to fold up the tent and let those wheels fall off the bus like a week ago.
That's what Coach Tillman has really wanted to see this week, character from his team. This is a senior-laden team, both on offense and defense. And he wants to see him playing like a veteran team. So far, we're seeing that here on the road.
You gotta go.
Here's Hawes. He's got a goal. Back out to Cummings, and Cummings will back it out.
You look at this venue for Lacrosse, Rob. Fabulous place. You'd love to see an NCAA quarterfinal maybe down here. Just has the perfect type of lacrosse view. And I know Coach Stars has said his players were really pumped to get out to Scott Stadium for the first time in a long time. 1995, the last time they played here.
Great job there by Adam Gittleman, coming way out of net to pick up the loose ball behind his net, and Keys, Virginia's clear, and it results in a shot, and Nico Amato makes the low save. So nice work there by Virginia getting it through, and a good shot. Now right back comes Maryland. Ball lost on a stick check. To the near side, nice save by UVA. A good play along the sideline by Colin Briggs. And now here comes Virginia on the break. They'll slow it down.
See that catch by LaPierre. Looked like a wide receiver going on a post pattern. See the coordination, athletic ability of 44 in white.
Some impressive up and down the field action here by this Virginia team. They can run. They can make things happen offensively. You mentioned they lead the nation in goals scored, and their coach doesn't think they're playing very well on offense. There was a good look, but Nico Amato, a point-blank save. That was a pretty save by the freshman goalie from Maryland. Now back they come, and a save by Gittleman. These goalies putting on a show. Back the other way, and it's Amato. His turn. These two goaltenders having some fun.
This is lacrosse at its best. End-to-end action. The fans come to see. Run and gun.
What a display of goaltending. 8 saves for Amato. And Gittleman has been sharp too.
Shows you the importance of the ability to handle the ball if you're a long pole. You're not just a defender out there. If you want to be part of this up and down type tempo, you have to be able to handle the ball in transition if you have the long pole.
And Maryland in possession will take a timeout with 1:09 to go here in the second quarter. Down by 1. Coach John Tillman will bring his guys in to set up for a final shot here to try to tie it to go into the locker room. We got a good game here between these ACC rivals and two outstanding goalies in pipe. The senior for Virginia, the freshman for Maryland. They are going tete-a-tete. 5-4. We'll be back with the last minute after this. In Charlottesville, we're back here in Charlottesville. 1:09 to go in the second quarter, and Virginia a 1-goal lead. It has been a very closely contested first half between these two longtime rivals, and they have been laying the body on both sides of the field. You see bodies flying left and right, Paul.
They don't like each other. 3 out of the last 4 contests, 1-goal outcomes. The physical brand of lacrosse, the tempo that's being established.
And coming up at halftime on the Warrior Halftime Report, we'll have a Warrior Pro session for you on the split dodge. For you kids out there looking to build your offensive arsenal. Also, we'll have stats and highlights from this first half of very good ACC lacrosse action here in Charlottesville.
The master of the split dodge in today's college lacrosse game. You watch the Brattons for Virginia, Colin Briggs. Very good split dodge. I love the split dodge from the freshman at Duke, Jordan Wolf. Change of direction. He's a water bug.
Paul, what do you look for here from Maryland in possession off this timeout?
Well, with the clock, they don't want Virginia to get another opportunity to score, so I think they're going to kill some clock here. Looks like Virginia's setting up actually in a zone defense. That will kind of negate any type of offensive play Coach Tillman might have had for the Terps. So they'll have to adjust on the fly here. It looks like a zone defense being set up by Virginia.
Adam Gittleman, the senior goaltender. Big part of the reason this game is as close as it is. Nico Amato on the other side of the field playing outstanding lacrosse in between the pipes as well as we hit 1 minute to go in this first half. Maryland looking to even it up. On the road looking for their first ACC win. They're 0-2 in the conference so far.
You get to that 30-second mark. Start pressing the cage. I always like to have a couple of opportunities because if you miss the goal, you have the backup. Second chances.
They work it around the perimeter. Comes to Grant Catalino. Ryan Young. Now they reverse direction. 12 seconds left. Catalino now at the midfield position. Back to Catalino, who fires a shot low and wide right. Backed up, only 3 seconds to go on the clock. Quick restart here. They'll try to feed it back out to midfield, but the pass misconnects, and that'll do it for this first half. So these arch-rival ACC teams, they're playing like it here so far. Dom Starja and his Cavaliers will walk off the field with a 1-goal lead here at Scott Stadium. And for Virginia, they got to feel good about the way they've played without one of their star players. Ramel Bratton has stepped up offensively. Maryland has hung right with them. That's the end of the first half. We'll be back with the Warrior halftime report after this. Welcome back. It is halftime here at Scott Stadium between number 10 Maryland and number 4 Virginia. Let's now send it to Quint Kestenik with this week's Warrior Pro Session.
This halftime report is presented by Warrior. All hail. And now, a Warrior Pro Session with Quint Kestenik.
Attacking the goal from behind, the ability to beat your defenseman and generate a high percentage shot. Running past your defender and getting to the goal is a science. It requires speed, power, precision, and a strategic plan. Consistently take the pole to the rack, and you will be a superstar. Understanding your options is a prerequisite to becoming an unstoppable force. We're joined by Matt Danowski, Tewaaraton Trophy-winning attackman and professional attackman. Matt, when you're pressing the goal from behind, what are some keys?
Well, what I like to do when I'm behind the cage, if I have a step in my defenseman, I like to dip my inside shoulder, kind of bury it into him, so I can get 2 extra steps, get myself in front of the cage, turn the corner, and I'll be able to shoot with the whole 6x6. That's
a move, speed and power, and then protecting your stick. But typically, defenders will do a better job than what I just did.
Absolutely here. Now, if I can't turn the corner, the stick's upfield, I want to take my defender to 5 and 5. All right, this is a very good spot in the field for an attackman because you can see the whole field and you're dangerous here. Now, when I get here, I'm going to read your body language to dictate what I do offensively.
Okay, so if you give me a reaction, I'll probably...
So if I'm right here, maybe I'll take 1 big step to the sidelines. Hopefully you bring your stick over, rocker step to the middle of the field, and get my shot off in front of the cage.
Rocker step creates the windshield wipe goal for you. What are some other things you can do?
Right, so if you're playing good defense here, maybe I'll use your momentum against yourself. I'll push into you so you push me back out, right to my step away shot, pivot off that inside foot and get my hands free.
It's a fadeaway jump shot. Let's see that one more time. So you're initiating contact with me to create separation.
Lean into you, hopefully you push me out right to the sidelines, right where I want to be. My stick and step to the sideline, I change hands out here, and I get my shot off.
What is one pro-level tip that a young attackman can benefit from?
Well, what a young attackman needs to learn is that you don't have to beat your man to score a goal. If someone's playing good defense on you and you're around them, all you need to do is get your hands free. So maybe right here again, I can just step away, use you as a screen, and get my shot off that way.
So you create separation to free up your hands.
Exactly. Just like a fadeaway jumper in hoops, all you really need to do is get some separation, get your hands free. You don't got to beat them by 5 yards.
You're a young attackman dodging from behind the goal. Get to high percentage areas, and you will score a ton of goals like Matt.
Welcome to Old Spice College Lacrosse on ESPNU. We are at halftime here. Great crowd on hand and a good college lacrosse game as Virginia and Maryland. It's a one-goal game. Virginia on top here at halftime. And we get set for this second half, and it's been a very good first half. Paul, Virginia got off to a good start. Maryland scored first. Virginia scored a couple straight, and then Maryland just stayed close with them the entire time.
Well,
what did you think of that first half?
It's been physical. Two ACC foes getting after it, doing all the little things to get the victory. You see Adam Gittleman doing a fabulous job in that first half. Ramel Bratton stepping up huge in the absence of his brother, who's been suspended for the game, breaking team rules. But Ramel, 2 first-half goals. His play has been brilliant. It's been a physical battle, as I mentioned. Teams getting after it. Huge hits. That one through the Maryland Terp. Brett Schmidt in the box. Questionable call, and Owen Bly answered for the Terps, as did Joe Cummings on the extra man. The Terps matching punches after a week ago loss to UNC, where people questioned their ability to stop a run and create a run on their own. They answer today. Goaltending's been fabulous. Both Nico Amato, the freshman for Maryland, and Adam Gittleman, the senior, superb.
And Paul, there you see the first half stats, and it looks as even as it is this game so far. Shots even, man up. Maryland 1 for 1. Ground balls dead even. Maryland up on the face-offs, and the saves, as we said, both of these goalies playing very, very well. 8 saves to 7 for Adam Gittleman. And so as we get set for this second half, these two teams both looking for their first ACC win of the year. Virginia playing their first ACC game of the year. Maryland 0-2 in the conference so far, and there Adam Gittleman coming out getting some fist bumps from his teammates, and he is much deserving of them after that 8-save first half, and also came out of net a number of times to help clear, playing like the great senior goalie that he is for Virginia.
We're in a 5-4 contest right here. If it wasn't for these two goalies, this score could be 9-8 easily. We've seen a ton of run and gun, exciting brand of lacrosse on display today.
Nico Amato, the redshirt freshman, and so we face it off for this second half, and Curtis Holmes comes away with the win for Maryland. The outstanding face-off man for the Terps gets the win, and the Terps will start out with possession here, down 1. I wonder, Paul, what Coach John Tillman had to say to his guys in the locker room. I think that's the first half that John Tillman wanted to see from this Maryland team on the road after that very disappointing loss at home against North Carolina last week.
Yeah, we had a conversation earlier in the week, Rob, in regards to if Maryland loses this game, what happens to their season. It was all about competition. What type of Maryland team would we see here? If they come down to Charlottesville, they lose a 1-goal game, I don't think they need to hit the panic button, but if they didn't answer Virginia's runs, could be problems in College Park.
And they have answered those runs. Virginia scored 3 straight goals at one point, but Maryland bounced back in the second quarter to shave the deficit to 1. This is Drew Snyder for the Terps, number 23. First time we've seen him today. Behind the net, loses his man, gets some space, passes it off. Now a quick feed and a score. So Maryland, some nice passing inside, and they strike first. Michael Earhart ties it at 5.
Big time goal right there for the Terps. Once again, Ryan Young just comes off that pick and roll. These spot feeds look like John Haas right there.
It was John Haas, correction, number 26 on the goal, beating Gittleman. Second goal of the game for Haas.
Second time those two have hooked up as well. Ryan Young to John Haas. No, I think Maryland is finding a seam in that Virginia defense. The off-ball defense for Virginia sometimes has been suspect this season. You saw the 2 goals by Haas, carbon copies. Joe Cummings' goal in the second quarter, very similar.
So John Haas, the sophomore, having a breakout year. And for Virginia, a face-off win as LaPierre had it, tried to send it back, but the ball was knocked out of bounds by Maryland. Virginia will get it.
And one thing when you lose those senior defenders from a season ago, Ken Clausen, a three-time first-team All-American, Ryan Nieslick was a force inside for the Cavaliers. It's not so much your ability to guard the opposition when they have the ball. It's your off-ball defense and communicating and getting all 6 players in sync. That's the toughest adjustment a team can make after losing defenders to graduation.
You see, Virginia had that outstanding third quarter last week against Johns Hopkins, had 6 goals in the quarter on their way to a 1-goal loss up in Baltimore. Streaks can be big in this game, and really these teams today so far have been going back and forth. Neither team has had a sustained stretch where they really controlled possession. Ramel Bratton's got 2 goals in the game. Keep in mind his brother Shamel, if you're just joining us, not playing today. He has been benched by Dom Starja, Virginia's head coach, for disciplinary reasons. And so just one Bratton out there for the Cavaliers today, and he picks the ball up at midfield. John Haldy, number 12, sets a screen for Ramel, who fires one wide. Backed up by Virginia.
I think the one positive Virginia gets out of the suspension from Shamel Bratton is Ramel Bratton becomes your alpha male at the midfield from an offensive dodging standpoint, gets his confidence up for the rest of the season. You put those 2 out together now, that 1-2 punch, and Colin Briggs as your third dodging option.
Look at Stanwyck working his way around Schmidt. Just went right around that long pole, but a call going against Maryland for a man in the crease against Virginia, and so Maryland will get it on the clear, and a long pass nicely gathered in by Scott LaRue for Maryland.
Scott LaRue, one of those two-way middies, along with Landon Carr, Dan Burns for the Terps. Coach Cottle, during his tenure at Maryland, one of the best recruiters in college lacrosse, and put this team together, equipped to make a run at a national title. You have to give Coach Cottle and staff over those years tons of credit for the success of this team.
Coach Dave Cottle, the longtime Maryland coach. And Monday night, ESPNU will deliver 2 shows to preview the Big Men's Tournament Championship. At 1 o'clock Eastern, catch a special edition of The Experts with host Lo Galindo and our experts. They'll preview the championship game of the NCAA tournament. Then at 5 Eastern, you get College Basketball Live's National Championship Special. All that coming up on Monday. And for Maryland, well, they're not in the tournament this year, but they're getting it done here as they've got a 6-5 lead on the road.
I just mentioned it on the previous goal. There's a seam in this Virginia defense, and Ryan Young has spotted it. 4 assists on the afternoon. He's picking this Virginia defense apart. Great off-ball movement by the Terps offense. You love the head up, the feeding ability. 30 assists a year ago. Marvelous at getting teammates involved, and when you spot feed guys like Cummings, it's money in the bank.
Second goal of the game for Joe Cummings, and Maryland has a lead, 6-5. They've scored 2 straight in this third quarter, and now a face-off win for Holmes. Holmes right on net, and Gittleman easily able to make that save.
You look at that last shot by Holmes. Did a great job winning the face-off. Know your role, kick it off to your guys like Catalino, Young, and Reed, your snipers who are accustomed to finishing.
Well, that shot was child's play for Gittleman. Meanwhile, a call going against Virginia on the near side. And it's going to be Maryland possession again. So things going Maryland's way early on in this second half, and they'll get possession and try to clear, but the pass went behind Michael Shakespeare, number 10. Still picked up by the Terps, and they'll bring it into their restraining box.
Shakespeare comes from a big lacrosse family out of Massachusetts. Older brother attended Brown. Younger brother off to Yale. And the Bulldogs having a good year in the Ivy. Beat Princeton a week ago.
I love calling games with Michael Shakespeare. There's just so many things you can say after he scores. I don't even know where to start. Just call him the Bard most of the time. Nice move by number 9, Max Schmidt in midfield. And he gets it in down low to John Hawes, but Hawes loses his footing. And the call goes against Maryland. Clear here for Virginia, brought through by Matt Lovejoy, number 40. He establishes the box, and now we'll get off the field as Virginia down 1, looking to even things up.
Loving the tempo of this game, though. We've seen a lot of end-to-end action, bringing the best out of the sport of lacrosse in the college ranks.
It's been just the kind of game you expect to see from these two teams. They know each other so well. They play every single year, year in and year out, at about the same point in the season. A lot of years they'll play 2 or even 3 times in a season. They meet in the ACC tournament quite often. A few years ago, they played in the NCAA tournament as well. Pass broken up by Brian Farrell, who got a stick on it, recovered by Virginia. Steals Stanwyck. Sends it across the field. A shot low on Nico Amato, and he makes the save.
Big time stop by Amato.
Ace save for the freshman goalie from Maryland. Ball now on the ground in front of Adam Gittleman's cage. He comes out behind to pick it up. Gittleman always aggressive with that ball on the ground to come out of cage and corral it with that big goalie stick behind the net, and he gets the clear started for Virginia.
Gittleman's always been one of the top clearers in college lacrosse. You look at him and John Galloway from Syracuse, just can ignite an offense right off the save with their clearing ability. Have the capability of hitting a guy 50 yards in stride. It separates, I think, the good goalies from the great goalies, being multidimensional.
Nick O'Reilly, number 29, send out top now. Bratton, a fake, a move, and a shot bounces wide, and a flag flies after the play. Ramel Bratton getting the shot off, and then a flag flies, and it looks like a call will go against the Terrapins here. There you heard the call. Landon Carr, number 16 for Maryland, called for an illegal body check. And UVA will go man up.
Look at that change of direction. Are you kidding me? It was a late hit right there, illegal body check. Ramel Bratton looking for it. But prior to the flag, you saw the athletic ability and quickness from number 3 in white. That was insane.
1 minute man up here for Virginia. They have not scored in over 13 minutes. They'll get a good chance to do so here, but they've got to go back out to midfield to pick it up off a missed pass. Out top, a shot hits pipe, and Amato able to gather in the rebound. Rob Emery fired that one. It beat Amato, but caught pipe. And Maryland will bring it back a man down.
You see Virginia doubling the ball right now because they're extra man from that prior penalty to no avail. Terps on offense.
So the pipe getting it done for Maryland on that man down as the shot from Emery caught the pipe, and then a nice job by Nico Amato gathering in the rebound off of that ball off the pipe, and that helps Maryland kill it off. Missed pass, turnover, picked up by Virginia. Now some vicious ride action here for Maryland, and a flag flies, so we're going to get another penalty here against the Terrapins. The sticks just started flying as Chris LaPierre, who has been everywhere today, by the way, picked up that loose ball, and Maryland's going to go a man down for the second straight time.
Look, you're not going to see huge numbers on the stat column for Chris LaPierre, but his impact cannot be quantified. I mean, this kid is an absolute beast, an automatic clear. So strong and vital to the full field playing style that Virginia loves.
So the second straight 1 minute opportunity here for Virginia. You saw John Tillman not happy. I think it's less the call he wasn't happy about, because it was a slash. I mean, Grant Catalino was flying around with that stick, but I think he's just not happy with his senior's decision there to use the stick that way off of a turnover. Probably a frustration call there. Play there by Catalino, but another turnover. And Maryland's going to get the ball back a man down. Brian Farrell right through midfield. Maryland could kill some time.
What a play by the senior Farrell. Stick in the right place, knocking down that Emory shot. I think Coach Tillman realizes, too, you cannot let Virginia continue to go extra man.
Well, it looks like Maryland's going to get away with it again here. Kill off two straight 1 minute man down. You see the double team on the ball here. Jake Bernhardt's going to run around, and a timeout's going to be called by Maryland. A smart timeout there with only 1 second left in this man up. That'll help them kill it. So Maryland, a good-looking third quarter. They've been down a man a couple times, but they have a 1-goal lead after being down at halftime. 6-5 Maryland. We'll be back after this. All right, the NFL draft coming up not too long down the road. And speaking of football, right after this game on this field, the Virginia spring football game will take place, and that'll be on ESPN3.com. You can log on to watch exclusive coverage of that game about a half hour after our lacrosse game ends here. That's one of the reasons we've got a great crowd on hand here at Scott Stadium, and they are getting a treat, a very good ACC lacrosse matchup. Coach John Tillman and his Maryland Terrapins on the road, up by 1, 6-5. About a second left, now nothing left on a 1 minute man-up opportunity for Virginia. Maryland's now killed off 2 straight 1 minute man-up opportunities for the Cavaliers, and so they'll go back to work on offense as we come up on the 4 minute mark in this third quarter. This Maryland team looking for a season-defining win on the road here. Oh, good chance in front, and Joe Cummings beats Gittleman. Joe Cummings, all sorts of time on the doorstep, and he beats Gittleman. You see the Virginia defense, Lovejoy, saying, what are we doing here? As Cummings had all day, and it's 7-5 Maryland.
So smooth, Joe Cummings. I mentioned earlier was an attackman in high school. You see how comfortable he is around the goal area. Look at this play, the little face dodge. And the awareness to take that extra step and the extra fake. A lot of younger players would get a little nervous, get that separation, shoot right away. He knows as he continues upfield, he increases his angle. That's brilliant.
And let's take a look at our player portfolio brought to you by Sector Spiders. There you see Joe Cummings, 18 goals on the year. He's second on the team in goals, and he's had a nice career against UVA. 6 goals in 4 career games, 18 multi-point games. So a guy that Maryland looks to for leadership, a junior from Towson, Maryland, and he's given the Terps a 2-goal lead on the road here as we head into this face-off. Key face-off here for Virginia. We got a good-looking ground ball battle here. 6 players going at it, and who else? Chris LaPierre comes up with it for Virginia. We have talked about him all day. He's been outstanding picking up the ground balls for Virginia, and he wins that one as well and gets it off to Ramel Bratton.
LaPierre once again following up on Joe Cummings. Imagine the 1-2 punch in high school with Steele Stanwyck. Both went to Loyola, right in Baltimore, Maryland. Graduated that same year, played on the same attack line. What a 1-2 punch that must have been.
Ball fed through the middle, bounced before it got to Haldy. Nice save by Haldy, gets it in and comes back around to Bratton. Ramel's got that long pole on him, looking to find some space, loses his footing. Now he's going to have to battle for it, and he's able to pick it up and get it to Haldy. Bratton again fires a high shot at Nico Amato. The quick stick makes the save. Quick clear by Maryland right through midfield. And in. Scott LaRue again on that clear for the Terps.
If you're Maryland and having the luxury of Nico Amato for the next 3 seasons, this kid has first-team All-American potential. The poise, too. You make the save, head up right away, start the clear in the transition game. It's no surprise, tutored by the great Brian Doherty. Maryland first-team All-American in 1995 and 96, both Philadelphia products, Doherty and Amato.
9 saves for Amato. Ryan Young. Feed in front, save Gittleman. Quick shot by Cummings actually, Joe Cummings, and the save by Gittleman. And now look at this clear for Virginia, right through midfield. In front, oh, a big chance for Haldy, and the save by Amato. John Haldy had all sorts of time, put a move on Amato, but could not get it past the freshman.
Confidence, Nico Amato just getting into a groove. You start making the saves you should, that trickles over to a confident game. You start making saves you shouldn't.
That was a save he had no business making. And it keeps it a 2-goal game as we come up on 15 seconds to go in this third quarter. Let's see if Maryland can get one last shot off here, and they do, and they score! From midfield, a run on goal, and it's 8-5 Terrapins. Big goal with only 6 seconds to go in this third quarter.
Goaltending does one of 2 things, stops runs and creates runs. You saw the saves from Amato, and the crafty Joe Cummings. It's his 4th tally of the day. So confident of the Terps right now, they're feeling it.
4th goal of the day for Joe Cummings. He's having a show. Last 3 of them. The last 3 goals Maryland has scored have been out of the stick of Joe Cummings. So he has been the difference in this second half as the ball put on the ground for the final 3 seconds of the third quarter. Joe Cummings and the Maryland Terrapins with an outstanding third quarter. They scored 4 goals in the quarter, shut Virginia out in the third quarter, and they've got themselves a 3-goal lead on the road, looking for their first ACC win of the year against their arch rival, Virginia, here in Charlottesville. Back with the 4th right after this. Start of the fourth quarter, 8-5. Maryland on the road with the lead. Joe Cummings has been the difference. 4 goals in the game, tying a career high. 3 straight goals, in fact, for his Maryland Terps. Meanwhile, UVA has missed some opportunities, man-ups. They're 0 for 4. 2 of those were 1-minute man-ups, and Maryland now has scored 5 straight. There you see Shamel Bratton, the star midfielder for UVA. He is out today, suspended by Virginia head coach Dom Starsia for disciplinary reasons, and UVA could really use a Shamel Bratton right now, down 3. Who is going to step up for them to get them the 3 goals plus that they're going to need?
Well, Ramel Bratton, his brother, has been great. Needs to play huge in this fourth quarter, but they needed Shamel Bratton out here today. He's a first-team All-American 2 times, a front-runner for National Midfielder of the Year.
Meanwhile, off the restart, a quick shot by Grant Catalino, and Gittleman makes the save. A whistle off that face-off, and now we get another whistle. And a call's going to go against Adam Gittleman, it looks like, against Virginia. You see Gittleman, frustrated, talking to the official. Didn't see what the call was. Maryland's going to get it back.
Well, Gittleman wanted an interference call there. The refs are saying he did that intentionally to cause contact for a free clear. One last thing on the Bratton situation, too. Maryland now plays defensively different on the perimeter because you don't have a Shamel Bratton there breaking the defense down at will. Now you don't slide as early and often if he was out there. So guys like Backlund have been quiet because no Shamel Bratton. A kid like Backlund, who just can score in a hurry, is really the recipient of quick slides from the defense and gets his space and his shot regularly because of the attention of a Shamel Bratton.
It's funny you mention that, Paul. We've hardly said Chris Backlund's name at all today, which is pretty unusual for a UVA game.
You look at it, when you lose a star player like a Bratton, it could be a double whammy. You lose him, and then you change your offense.
And a score for Maryland, a quick feed, and the Terrapins have a 4-goal lead. Joe Cummings was in on the play. Did he get the goal? Is that his 5th goal of the game? Let's take a look here. It actually came to Haas, so Cummings found Haas, and he was the one to put it through.
John Haas from Owen Bly. More importantly, there are huge gaps in this Virginia defense in the interior. We're seeing 5-6 goals on the afternoon in those same spots, not covering cutters. Big-time problems for the Cavaliers in terms of their team defense.
John Haas, 3rd goal of the game. And this Virginia defense, you can see it, Paul. After these goals, they have been beating each other up down there. Just not responding quickly enough as these Maryland players have made their moves and found a lot of space and time inside. And they've got to make some adjustments. This is a young Virginia defense. Let's not forget about that.
Young, inexperienced, and even the older guys that they have in the unit. Lovejoy, the most experienced of the group. Chris Clemens, a converted short stick midfielder playing defense. He's a junior eligibility, but very green in terms of his position.
Well, the Cavaliers, they got to get it going and get it going now. Ramel Bratton steps out. Bratton's got Dan Burns tracking him through the midfield.
Burns, one of those fabulous short stick defenders.
Here you see Brett Schmidt on defense, just hammering his man, Steele Stanwyck.
Give credit to this Maryland close defense. They were lit up a week ago by UNC and freshman Nikki Galasso.
Max Schmidt, number 9, stepping out on the freshman Stanwyck. Seen a lot of players slip and slide out there today, Paul. Can't tell whether there's been a footing issue out there It's a natural grass field, the football stadium, Scott Stadium. The first time since 1995 that this lacrosse program has played in the football stadium, and they've got a great crowd, but I have seen a lot of guys go down on this natural surface. Halding. Bounce shot from Emery, going wide.
This attack unit, the combination, the two juniors, Stanwyck and Bachlick, been very quiet. Max Schmidt, Brett Schmidt, Ryder Bolander from Maryland have won that matchup all day long.
Talk a lot about the Maryland attack and the seniors they have there. Don't forget this defense is an incredibly experienced defense as well. One of the reasons why so many people like Maryland coming into this year. And Nico Amato, you know, one of the question marks Maryland has was goaltending coming in, but the freshman continues to shine. Right back comes Maryland, and they score. Through transition, it comes to Owen Bly. And look at Virginia right now. This defense, they're sort of gathering themselves and saying, what do we have to do to stop this run? Owen Bly, the sophomore, makes it a 10-5 Maryland lead.
Nico Amato. If you don't know him, now you do. This kid has been ridiculous, just gobbling up everything that's thrown his way. And on top of that, his clearing and his ability to start breaks. You see Owen Bly, the recipient of this goal right here. The Maryland long poles, Barnhart, Farrell, you see how pumped they are. They're feeling it.
Boy, is this a textbook game for Maryland or what? I mean, that entire play from save to clear to pass and shot, you can't draw it up any better than that.
And that's what Coach Tillman wanted when we spoke to him earlier in the week. He wanted the transition game. That's what this team is built for.
Off the faceoff, Brian Farrell had it but couldn't hold it. Now another hit put on at midfield. Good physical action. But Chris LaPierre able to hold on and bring it in for Virginia. So the Cavaliers now being doubled up at home, 10-5, and they've got to get to work right away. Here's a rebound in front of the score. Ball went off the pipe. Amato was not able to gather in the rebound, and it came free.
The only way you're beating the freshmen today is rebounds, quick ball movement, getting the ball to spin. See Briggs here. Amato makes that save with his forearm, and Bachlick just picks up the trash. Look at the save.
Arm
right off
save.
the forearm.
Look at that. And then Bachlick there.
Mentioned Bachlick's been quiet. Cashes that one in. 53 goals a season ago. Second in Virginia history behind Doug Knight, the great All-American attackman who graduated in '97. So you have that Bachlick-Stanwyck combo. If Virginia's going to make a run, those attackmen need to get involved.
That was Virginia's first goal in over 25 minutes. That's got to be one of the longest scoreless streaks you will see from a Virginia team. Now over, and plenty of time left here. Just under 10 minutes. Down 4 at home. Far from insurmountable for Virginia. But they're going to need the ball, and Maryland has it right now. This is Joe Cummings. He of the 4 goals today.
You know, if anyone can come back and respond to a 4-goal deficit, it's the Cavaliers at home. 9 minutes left. Look at Maryland controlling the ball in the 6-on-6 set. You have to be careful, too, if you're Maryland, not to get caught up in that whole stall tactic. You're flowing, you're hitting on all cylinders. Be patient.
There's a beautiful pass and a score. John Hawes was on the doorstep. The officials waited just a second to confirm that he was not in the crease. But the pass found Hawes, and it's back to a 5-goal Maryland lead.
3 goals for the sophomore midfielder, and right on cue. I was mentioning, be careful not to stall, be patient, but if opportunities arise, keep playing lacrosse. You're feeling it if you're Maryland. Ryan Young, his 5th assist on the day. Look at the feed. That's a crazy feed. I mean, in traffic, pressure. Here's the tail end on the backside. Haas, the great crease awareness.
Tell you what, you're not going to see a better look than that look from Ryan Young. Across field, John Hawes just slipped away, and the vision of Young to see him there and just put it right on his stick, and then the great finish by Hawes.
What a feed. Ryan Young, you haven't seen him hit the back of the net much, but his passing ability to get teammates involved, he's been the catalyst, because all those inside goals are a result of the perfect setup plays by Ryan Young, 27 in red.
So Maryland putting an end to any thoughts Virginia might have had of putting together a multi-goal run here. They bounce right back after Virginia's 6th goal. And then get a face-off win to boot.
I think if you were to ask Maryland if Grant Catalino was to really be blanketed all afternoon and not being involved in the offense, would you be up by 5 goals? It's a direct result of other players stepping up, playing huge roles in the team game. So many unassisted or assisted goals, for that matter, by Maryland. Weren't a lot of dodges and players creating their own offense to score goals. It's been a team game, a lot of passing.
Maryland in no rush here, up 5.
I think if you're Virginia, get aggressive on defense. You have to start pressing out. Down 5 goals, take some chances, double the ball quickly. Press on the perimeter.
You mentioned Catalino, he's been quiet today. And Ryan Young will take a screen and find Scott LaRue. LaRue, guy you see play both ways. Maryland looking for their first ACC win of the year. They're 0-2 in the conference. Lost at Duke and then at home to North Carolina. So this would be a big win, the best win of the year for this Maryland team. Their only other win over a ranked opponent was against Georgetown early in the year.
And it makes you think, was that UNC game a direct reflection of what we're seeing today? A team that really was questioned and backs were against the wall, and they responded. I think it shows you this team is capable to come on the road and to be up by 5 goals against a team like Virginia's caliber. Tells you this team can compete against anyone.
And I don't think anybody questioned that coming into this year. The talent that has been assembled in this program by Dave Cottle over many years, and the several recruiting classes that John Tillman had to work with coming in. I mean, you gotta love that position for John Tillman. Coming in, the cupboard could not have been more stacked for a first-year head coach. Question is, could he get them to harness all of that talent? And this is the point in the year where you really want to start seeing that improvement as we get into the latter stages of the regular season, and then the ACC tournament will be here before you know it.
I said it earlier in the season on our expert show on ESPNU. No coach in college lacrosse in their first year has more talent to work with. The flip side of that is, if you're John Tillman, the expectations are pretty high. You have to win now.
Maryland has run 4 minutes off the clock in this possession. And by the way, you see that stat there. Talk about a big win. They've lost 9 of their last 10, has Maryland, to Virginia, including 5 in a row. So this would break a streak of futility against Virginia. And after that long possession by Maryland, finally Virginia able to force the turnover, but time suddenly looks a lot shorter. Just over 4 minutes to go, down 5. Virginia's going to have to get to work fast. Meanwhile, we get some rain starting here. All of a sudden, some dark clouds rolled in. And now the rain starting up as Nico Amato makes the save on the low shot. Rebound battled for, and Amato picks it up. And the crowd just flooding for cover here at Scott Stadium as the rain comes in.
The best goaltending performance I've seen to date. It's his 12th save. Not a ridiculous number, but it's the way that he's made these saves, the type of saves he's made.
So many point-blank saves by Amato. He's got 12 saves on the day. Maryland quickly knocking Bachlick down as that ball came in front.
Had the opportunity to speak to some goaltenders, some great ones from the past. Rob Mulligan from Syracuse, 2000 national title holder, 3-time All-American. Asked him about Nico Amato and what he loved about him. It's his poise, his ability to start transition.
Here's a chance, fed for Young, and he scores! Ryan Young makes it a dozen for Maryland, and the Terrapins look like a winner on the road. It's 12-6.
Finally, Ryan Young gets a tally of his own after completely hooking up all of his teammates time and time again. You see him pumping his fists. He knows as a senior to come down to Charlottesville and win this magnitude. Up 6 goals, they're feeling it too. The Terps on their way to a huge victory.
Great to see Ryan Young after the rough week he had last week. Called for an illegal stick in the game against North Carolina. A 3-minute unreleasable penalty that Carolina scored 1 goal off of, but that really was the turning point of the game that led to Carolina scoring 8 straight goals. And Ryan Young, a lot going on in that young man's life. His mother suffering from terminal cancer, pancreatic cancer. So he's had a lot on his mind other than lacrosse. And after the tough week last week, it's great to see Ryan Young have a bounce-back game and get a goal here in the late stages. As this rain, by the way, is coming absolutely furiously here. The stadium basically emptying, and we get a timeout. More than just rain, you got some snow, hail mixed into this weather coming down. But with 2:15 to go and a timeout, this Maryland team, they don't care what's coming out of the sky. They're going back to College Park with a win. There you see the hail pellets on the field. We will take a break. 2:15 to go, and what's suddenly become a maelstrom here, but not for Maryland, as the Terrapins have had their best performance of the year on the road here. The offense and the goaltending have all gotten it done for the Terrapins, picking up their first ACC win of the year. We got 2:15 to go. Come on back. Summary here, and that tells you everything you need to know. Look at the third and fourth quarters of this game. 8-1. Maryland has outscored Virginia in the second half. Joe Cummings, 4 goals, tying a career high. And everything going Maryland's way here. The weather took a rather sudden turn in the last 5 minutes. Some hail and all sorts of mixed precipitation coming down. A little cold front came through here and just cleared the stadium out. But John Tillman, he doesn't really mind. His coach, his team feeling great. Joe Cummings going to get on the bus and go back to College Park with their first ACC win of the year.
And you saw the stands empty. This place was packed. Beautiful setting for college lacrosse. Outstanding weather. This hail came in. Everyone they left the building.
A shot going high and wide here over Amato. Keep in mind the spring football game is going to take place on this field about 30 minutes after this lacrosse game ends. We get flags flying on the field. And now let's take a look at our player of the game in just a minute. We'll get you there. I can give you a sneak preview. I think it may be number 19, our player of the game, but we don't want to give it away. There he is, Joe Cummings, number 19, our player of the game. Brought to you by Maverick, by the way. 4 goals, tying a career high. And he not only did he score 4 goals, Paul, but he scored them at a key point in this game. Into the third quarter, Maryland came out at halftime down by a goal, and it was really Joe Cummings who keyed this second half run.
And he did it in a variety of ways. Off ball, dodging from behind. We saw the sweep from up top.
And Virginia scores here late. They finally beat Amato in this second half. Shot from the far wing beats Amato. It's 12-7.
This is Chris Bachlet's spot. You just didn't see a lot of it today. Great on the extra man on that right side. Leads the team in goals. But they were 0 for 4 on man up today because of the fact that they weren't able to spin the ball and get the rotation in the ball movement to guys like Bachlet. But they were very inefficient on the extra man today.
A very quiet 2 goals scored by Chris Bachlet. Both of them really, once this game was just about out of reach for Virginia. Face-off picked up by Bray Malfris. Throws it downfield, out of bounds. Maryland will get it as we come up on 1 minute to go. So Virginia, they'll suffer their second straight loss. They lost a close one in Baltimore last week to Johns Hopkins, and now they drop one at home. And Paul, if you're Dom Starsia, how concerned are you about this team coming off 2 straight losses at this point in the year?
Very, to be honest with you. Last week, not too concerned, but now the suspension of Shamel Bratton, it's more just the mindset, the approach, and how you're going to respond mentally to this defeat. Not physically. You have the players out there to win a national title and make a run, but I think you have to get your team on the same page, and they have to buy in together.
Not a good day for Virginia lacrosse. They played without their star midfielder, Shamel Bratton, who is suspended by Coach Starsia. He missed the game, and they just did not have enough, either offensive firepower or, frankly, defensive cohesiveness either, because Maryland was able to do an awful lot right in front of Adam Gittleman today. And those are the reasons why they are going to come away with this ACC win on the road.
Maryland found a weakness in the Virginia defense. They exploited it, and it was a team game by the Terps on both ends, and incredible goaltending by the freshman Nico Amato.
Well, John Tillman, a sigh of relief. And Paul, how big a win is this for Maryland? What do you think this can do for them as we head down the stretch of this regular season?
Well, last week, they neglected to really capitalize and meet any type of run that North Carolina threw at them. This week, they responded. Their backs were against the wall. They created their runs, and they did it all over the field. Great coaching job.
Once again, our final score from Scott Stadium here in Charlottesville. Maryland 12 and Virginia 7. For Paul Carcaterra and our entire ESPNU crew, I'm Rob Sittlecare. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Maryland, their first ACC win of the year. Coming up, college softball or Auburn and Tennessee. For our whole crew here in Charlottesville, I'm Rob Sittlecare. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, full day of college lacrosse on ESPNU tomorrow. So long.